Hello. Today is fifth episode of Political Show on Lions Wire, and today our guest is renowned political scientist, maverick political analyst Ilya Levkov. Ilya, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me once again.
Thank you for coming to our show. And Ilya, 1 day is left till second anniversary of Russian-Ukrainian war. The conflict that doesn't seem to have any end. Ilya has a very original, novel, and unique idea as to how to resolve the conflict and how West could ameliorate and help to bring the war to a full stop.
Yeah, I wouldn't embrace that maximum position that you presented. I would say at least to contain or to create something that make critical of Putin worldwide. So, but let me first of all start with today, which is my personal date, i.e. 67 years ago, we crossed the border of the Soviet Union to the West. It happened after we have been denied the visa to go to Israel, and thus being in a limbo in those days. Nobody was in a limbo in those days, when you submitted all the documents, you received a critical reply. I remember that postcard, said your request to immigrate to Israel is hereby denied. This way, everybody in the post office,
It was an open letter, basically, publicly available.
It was an open letter to the nation. Luckily, it was in Vilnius. So there was no too many so-called personal assaults. Though, when, as I mentioned, we then discovered an exit, a surprise exit, and jumped to go to Poland and received permission and had to bribe so many clerks to get a seat on the aeroplane. So it was postponed almost a month. And finally, in 1957, we boarded a plane and flew to Warsaw. So why is it important? That is, it was also, as you recall, was a day of the Soviet Army and the Navy. So on the holiday of the Soviet Army and Navy, we penetrated the Iron Curtain and escaped. We spent barely 2 months in Poland and landed in Israel. This is a little bit kind of my personal lesson that what is doable even in the most critical situation when we think there is no way out, there is no solution. Why do I say so? Because I would like to mention thereafter, 54 years ago, I was so-called drafted by an Israeli office of the branch of the prime minister to bypass the American Jewish leadership. What do you think was the goal of the Israelis to bypass the establishment of Jewish leadership in the United States? They were not ready to support wholeheartedly and actively the path that the Israeli government decided to take against the Soviet Union, i.e. worldwide protest against the arrest of the group of Leningrad and Riga Jews headed by Kuznetsov, steal a plane, a primitive plane, and fly westward over Helsinki, over Finland, and land in Sweden, because Finland would have returned them back. So, to make a long story short, it failed because the KGB were following them. They arrested them in the morning. So two people, traveled through United States and Canada, a period, I don't know, not hundreds places, but close to this, and indeed diverted and prepared the world opinion and the American Jewish opinion and American public opinion that innocent people have been arrested just for their strive to get to Israel and the right of immigration. Then it was 54 years ago. Then the next my personal experience was closer to the fire, and it is when my author Litvinenko was poisoned for a book I published here in English and Russian. All that, and of course I'm following that thing. Nowadays, tomorrow we will be so-called marking, I wouldn't say celebrating, marking the second anniversary of that completely unnecessary and aggressive war. I might insert, comes to my mind, said I spoke with somebody, I don't want to name him, but he's a big shot in the TV world in Russia. And he somehow, I was in his office one-on-one, all the acquaintances, and he somehow stated me then, it was 2015, I think it was 2015, I'm not sure. In any case, he told me in a way intending, tell to your friends in the West that Putin is not expansionist, aggressive expansionist. A kind of a countdown. I shared this information with some people, but I was caustic and not sure if he knew and believed in it or just believed in it and has the information. So, marking tomorrow's anniversary, I thought to do something to open an international campaign, a wide international campaign with here is my text and here is my idea. Where is my text? It's easy to you to say. This should be addressed, a letter should be addressed by many people from various US states and states abroad, countries. It is the following, that is, President Putin, you run the largest state on this earth, and yet you want to expand your might, expand your size of the state, and I think I might help you in achieving this endeavor. Since you think that you don't have enough land, I hereby present my share to enlarge yours. Here is 1 ounce of soil from Alabama, from Mississippi, from California. This can be put into such, plastic bags, small plastic bags.
Ziploc.
Yeah, which you seal. And that's all. Now, he says, and this way, I think it will contribute to your so-called size of your state and might curb your enthusiasm to continue occupying your neighbors. And smile, but with a smile, with a twist. But what's more important, because it's not only the words, and they could be a little bit changed. I will polish it, but it's visible. You have a 1 ounce of earth from a particular state being sent to Putin to expand, to have more land, more soil. So this way, I would say it will be a great interest to TV people because it's visible, you see. It's not, hey, let's write a letter, let's write a chokhmah, let's get him under the belt. No, it's a sarcasm. This invitation is to drag him into this sarcasm. Are you out of your mind? The population of your state is falling down, and you want to expand the size of Mother Russia. And then you invent various ideas, Nazis, anti-Semites, and all. What didn't he do it? Said Ukraine was going to attack him, or NATO members would attack him. Vice versa, what he did, he caused for the first time to the largest actually neighbor of Russia, Finland, join NATO, and classical state, which was even neutral during World War II, joined also, and it is Sweden. Therefore, you have to make fun, really caustic fun of him, which makes fun for people who participate. And imagine he will get, and the address is, of course, very simple. You
Kremlin.
To President Putin, Kremlin, Moscow, Russian Federation. I would like to see it, and I'm sure that we can test it with several TV channels, American TV channels, of course.
We can try.
And others to call people to do this.
We can try that. We just need the soil from Alabama, as you said.
Well, from all 50 states, from Alaska,
Right.
from Alaska as well, from Hawaii. You understand? Each 50 state, because it becomes, and it would be good if whoever does it will notify that organization that will be running it. So this way, we could say 50 states of Alabama, of the United States, and I don't know, 30 countries or 50 countries. Why not to invoke African countries, Why not the Middle East? Let's put some sand into Putin's oiled machine, Send, what are you doing? You are a laughing stock of our times.
What do you think about the Tucker Carlson interview with Putin?
Listen, it's too complicated. I don't want to
Big
go
topic,
into it.
yeah.
I know,
Okay.
I'm replying. Tucker Carlson was sliding down mistakenly. That is, I remember when 2 years ago, before, he said there's no democracy. Why to defend Ukraine? So he closes churches and he denies people freedom of speech. So what was the closing of churches? He didn't say, and he didn't want to know. It was the Russian Orthodox Church activities in Ukraine, which is a kind of freedom against freedom of state. These were the TV stations of his political opponents who began to transmit from outside Ukraine. Yes, he didn't like that people in other Ukrainians reach, or his opponents established kind of a propaganda and were beaming information against Zelensky from abroad. But he didn't go into this. It was enough for him to mention, he denies freedom of religion and he denies freedom of speech. So here he was. It was before invasion, He was a little bit blind. He had a general who always would analyze that it will be a complete and absolute failure, etc., etc., etc. So Tucker Carlson was on the slide
for a while.
In best case, absence of information, he didn't look into this. He could have looked and said, hey, this was the Russian Orthodox Church. Russian Orthodox Church is the defender number 1, 2, and 3 of Putin regime. So what's wrong with this if their activity in Ukraine will be curtailed, especially during those tensions? By the way, I don't want to go into this. Yeah, the books I have on this top specific topics, 2 books, but one of them is in English. One of them is in English.
Which book?
It's called Encounter with Immortality. Beautiful book. It begins with 2014 Maidan and continues further. It's very, very well written. A Western
Who's the author?
writer who goes under the pseudonym Caputo.
Caputo. Okay.
Yes. So I would say this idea, let's test it. Let's see how many people are ready to play this game. It's just the cost of it is sending a letter to Moscow. And let's see what he will. I don't think we will convince it, but at least we will open a new front, kind of not only Saturday Night Live, but any day live from the West about his silly, aggressive machinations against the state of Ukraine.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Ilya. This is an interesting idea. Very original, I have to say. I'll be sending New Jersey-based piece of land to Kremlin tonight. And we're gonna ask our listeners to do the same from their corresponding states, of which there are many.
Okay, let's start moving the boulder up the hill.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Ilya.
Thank you, and have a nice Friday. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend.